Hey everyone. So the keyword today is higher, 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 higher. Not higher like smoking pot higher, higher like spirit higher, higher self higher. So you are going to get me on a very interesting day, and I have so much to talk about to you, and I have some really great notes that I am definitely going to be referring to because this is about, oh no, which way do I go? And I am going through so many changes in my own life right now that I really wanted to teach some stuff to all of you that is going to help you. Like, tell me right now, how many of you are struggling with making decisions and you don't know where to turn? How many of you are constantly seeking outside yourself, friends, therapists, readers, and then you get their answers and you get even more confused? How many of that has that happened to you? Like, you go outside, you get a reading from someone, and then you're like, I'm confused. Then that's when you're like smoking the higher pot, and you're like, well, maybe that would kind of like get you like more into the understanding of it all. Or how about this? You receive information for yourself, and you still find yourself scratching your head because you're not sure whether you can follow it or not, and you're not trusting yourself enough. If you are struggling with all of these things, and I am definitely going to be reading my notes today because this is big. There's some big stuff going on in my life. I've got 5 things that I'm going to talk about that are keeping you from making decisions, from making choices, from knowing which path to take, from knowing your purpose, to knowing even who to talk to. So I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to give you a solution that is going to help you to stop sitting in indecision, stop sitting in fear. Fear is a big one, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But let me give some shout outs first and say hi to everyone. And there's some stuff going on in my life, as you know. So right before this, something big like happened, and I'm like, and it's like when something big is happening in your life and you do have to deal with outside influences because you're not in the location, you don't have the power to call people. Wow. Is that when you got to lean into spirit? Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you what my guides have been telling me. All right. I'm not doing readings today, Cassie. Instead, I am going to teach you on how to trust your own higher guidance. So whatever struggles you're having right now, I think that this will really, really help you. Hi, Laura. Hi, Rashawn. Yeah, you're not acting on it. So that's where you have to talk about, Rashawn. So it's a really good observation if that's what you're saying. Hi, Colette. Hi, Beverly. Hi, April. Hi, Cassie. I said, hi, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Hi, William. Oh, that's great. You're welcome, William. Hi, Gloria and Jessica and everybody. We've got a lot of people here, which is great. So for those, Brittany, Tari, and so I'm really, really excited to share this information with you. And Cassie, this is going to help you quite a bit because this is what's keeping most of you frozen in time, frozen in indecision, not knowing what to do. What you're not recognizing a lot of the times is when you're struggling with a really important decision in your own life, and then you go to outside counsel, they're projecting their fears and anxieties onto you. And you have to be able to know the difference from their fears and your own. Now, are they igniting a fear inside of you? Totally. They could be igniting a fear inside of you. But if you allow other people's opinions to stop you from really taking the road that you're meant to take and make the decisions that you're meant to take, then this Facebook is definitely for you. So I'm going to be sharing different tips about how you're staying stuck. And I'm going to share the most important thing that you have to start doing today in order to move through this stuff. And this is going to go against a little bit of what I normally say, or it's I'm going to share my own personal story, and it's going to blow your mind a little bit. So again, if you're just joining me, type in higher, and you're going to get a higher self meditation, which is really, really fun. And I'm sharing these tips, and I got to read my notes because this is intense. I'm sharing these tips because I'm walking my walk right now. I am a risk taker. I'm a risk taker, right? It's just who I am. Not everybody's a risk taker, and that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. I'm just one of those people. But when it comes for me investing in something huge, and something huge may be $50 for you, something huge for somebody else may be $1 million, something huge for somebody else may be 500. It's whatever feels good to you. But when I'm investing in something huge, I really have to do my research. I don't just jump on those things. Now, as many of you know, I'm moving, right? And this all started with my guides quite a bit ago, a while ago, but I didn't know where I was going and they wouldn't tell me. And I kept going into meditation, kept asking them, where am I going? I kept looking at houses. I can tell by looking at real estate in different markets what feels good to me, because houses hold a lot of energy for me. And I was doing this for quite some time. And I even went and checked out a couple of areas that I really loved, but they didn't feel like home. And then finally, Marin County fell in I knew about Marin County, but I kind of didn't go for it. And I was supposed to go one year and check it out, but Venus got hurt, my dog, and it's no fun not traveling with them if she can't go to the beach. So I canceled my trip. I went to Portland. I went to Bainbridge, went to all these other areas. And then Spirit sat me down in a meditation and they were like, you got to go to Marin. And it was a really, really intense meditation that I shared one day on this Facebook page. And I'll try to find the video to bring it back up. And I wasn't trusting them because it's a big deal. I'm moving someplace where I don't know anybody at all. I've never had that experience. I've always been surrounded by people I know. Even when I moved to LA, I knew a ton of people. And they showed me a yellow butterfly with black wings in my meditation. And I was like, all right, I felt better. And they said, go on a hike, listen to one of our meditations, because I record all my channels. I walked out my front door, and what was flying in my front yard? A yellow butterfly with black wings. Now, how many of you hit the likes, the loves, give me the stars, because Facebook has not given me stars yet? How many of you have had these experiences where Spirit is there for you and you get the sign and it's so magical and amazing? I want to see what you guys comment. But how do you keep that going? That's the trick. How do you keep it going? How do you trust it constantly? One of the things they said to me last year when I was making a lot of changes was lean into us. That's all they kept saying to me. And I'm actually going to get something tattooed back here for them. And all the time I would just lean into them, lean into them, lean into them. And it took away my anxiety. Now here I've been doing this stuff for years and I trust them. You know how much I trust them. I couldn't teach on the platform that I teach if I didn't trust them. But when you're making big life decisions, like the one woman who just wrote in, and I didn't read the whole question, but she's making a decision about a parent that's ailing, it sounded like. Like I said, I didn't read the whole thing. That's a big decision. That's a decision that takes your breath away. That's a decision where all past story comes up and says, oh my goodness, I can't F this up again. How am I going to get this right? Let me see how many of you, and I'm going to look at my notes because like I said, this is a big one. How many of you are relating to what I say? And if you relate, say relate, relate, relate. Jennifer says, love it. How do we trust it constantly? That's exactly what I want to talk about. Peggy says, I thank Spirit. I love that. Jennifer, thank you for my stars. I love my stars. So I want to just see if you guys relate. Susie says she relates, or anything that's coming to your mind right now as you're going through this, as you're struggling with your own struggles. So what I want you to know is I'm with you, and I'm going to share a story, and I'm going to share you. Everybody's saying relate. Peggy says relate. Brittany says relate. Jennifer says relate. Great. If you don't relate, it's totally cool too. Rebecca says see signs but don't know what they mean. You have to really learn what those signs mean. That's why I was teaching that tarot class, because anybody in membership that's taking the tarot class, if you're comfortable, talk about your experience about learning how to read symbols on your own, based on your own personal experience, because that's what I teach. Jennifer says 100% relate. Okay, so before I get into more of my story, and then I get into these 5 ways that you are stopping yourself, and then one of the biggest solutions for you, the biggest solution actually. I want to know how many of you are struggling with taking risks right now in your life, and you want to be living a life that is from your heart, from your soul. How many of you are stuck in a major decision right now? And tell me what it is. Tell me like, yeah, I'm stuck with, I want to take this risk. I want to take this theta healing class, but I'm afraid because I've spent money before and it hasn't gone anywhere. Whatever it may be, share what your struggles are, because we all have them. Are any of you searching for your purpose, or you need to gain confidence in taking the risks, right? So you're struggling with taking risks and you're not living the life you want to be living. You're struggling with making a major decision because you don't trust yourself. You don't understand the signs that you're getting, so you don't even trust, you don't know how to trust Spirit. You're searching for your purpose. You're trying to gain the confidence, like you have an idea of your purpose, but you don't have the confidence to go forward and take that risk. if you're going through this stuff, you are so going to want to watch this video, because I am teaching and preaching from my own backyard what I am learning. So before I share this personal story, and I want to read what you guys said, I'm going to see what you guys say first before I go to the next part. Like I said, something major happened right before this video. Colette says, lacking confidence. Jennifer says, I want to start a blog and a YouTube channel, but I'm scared. Jennifer, do it. The only way you learn is by walking through it and doing it, and, walking through your fear. Susie says, I want to learn more about using the tarot. I feel this is where I need to go. I want to change my life. Well, Susie, you need to check out my class, MarilynAloria.com/tarot, because it teaches you about yourself. Hi, Marie. So relationship rest best. So a lot of you are struggling with major, major decisions. And if you're just joining me now, write higher in the comments so that you can get the free gift. So I also want to ask you, this is a really important question for me. Do you believe that there are spiritual teachers out there that don't go through any of this? And I'm not talking about the Dalai Lama, who I feel like still probably goes through stuff, because Oprah talks about her stuff all the time. And I'm sure the Dalai Lama does. I know Thich Nhat Hanh talks about great stuff. So does Pedra Chodron. I can never say her name right. These are great spiritual teachers that share their truth. I don't know about the Dalai Lama because I don't follow him. So I'm going to have to take him off the table right now. Do you believe that there are spiritual teachers out there that don't go through any of this? Like, let me ask this. No would be no. I feel like every spiritual teacher goes through this. Yes is, I feel like there are spiritual teachers that don't go through this kind of stuff. And if you feel like there's spiritual teachers that don't go through life experiences like this, they may navigate it differently, which is what I'm trying to teach you. But if you feel that, I'm curious as to who that spiritual teacher is, because I've met some of these people and they're going through the crap and they're lying about it. So I want to see what you guys say with that. Rushan said no. And so if you're just joining, put in higher. So great. I'm not going to wait for everybody because I'm just going to keep moving on and it's a delay. Yeah, Jennifer says no. I think spiritual teachers are always going through this. Yes. And it's all how you navigate it. Jennifer says, yes, absolutely. I believe some are phony. Unfortunately, they are. I agree, because I've met some of them. Beverly says all spiritual teachers go through this. Great. Peggy says everyone, and Colette says unaware. Great. Okay, so let's move forward. So I'm going to tell you a piece of my personal story. I'm not going to tell all of you, and then I'm going to go through these tips, and then we're going to talk about how, and I want you to start applying these things to your own life and thinking about your own life, because that's how you get out of this stuff. So I was looking to put my house on the market, and a friend of mine for over 30 years was my realtor. And every time I'd call her to talk about putting my house on the market, all she would hit me with was limitation. Your house is only 2 bedrooms. It's only 2 baths. No one's going to want to rent a 2-bedroom house. You have a really small lot. It's only a 5,500 square foot lot. There's a brick backyard. Maybe we should take all the bricks up and put grass in. That's all she hit me with, was limitation, limitation, limitation. And I trusted her to some degree, right? Because she's a realtor. She's an expert in the field. I'm using someone who's not a spiritual teacher. But something in my heart was like, I don't know about this, but she's a friend that I've known for 30 years. I'm going to go trust her. So it happened that a house in Marin came on the market, and I had to accelerate the purchase of this house. So I called my friend up and I said, all right, there's a house on the market. I think we should start accelerating this. So she said, all right, we have some off-market buyers that may be interested. We'll bring them in on Sunday. So that house wasn't right for me in Marin, but we brought the off-market buyers in. They walked through the house and they fell in love with it. My house is gorgeous. And that's a whole story about how I trusted my guides, because I bought a house that literally I cried for 2 months and angels came in, and I'll tell that story another time. So they walked in, they wanted to purchase it. They made a bid, but I didn't know. I never put my house on the market. I didn't know what it was worth. Nobody knew what it was worth. So when I went to my friend who was a realtor, it felt to me, one, she wasn't doing any work. She was charging me a very high commission, and she had no idea what my house was worth. And I could not accept that bid. Now, this is out of my league, but I could not accept that bid with what she was giving me. So I went into meditation. And my guides told me 4 months before this that I couldn't use her as a realtor, but I ignored it. I said, this is a friend. She's been there for me. I've got to use her. So I went into meditation. In my meditation, my guide said to me, call your brother. Now, I have a really interesting relationship with my brother, and he's not somebody I would call in a time of need. I called my brother. He stepped up to the plate like nobody's business. He got on the phone with me and my friend, the realtor, and she like exploded on him. She couldn't give him a straight answer, anything. So he, after the call, called me and said, you need to interview other realtors. He said, you're going to leave money on the table. You don't know what that house is worth. You need to now do research. And he told me exactly what to do. So I interviewed a bunch of realtors, and I found a realtor. And I called my friend up to tell her that it wasn't going to work. And she was crying. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is a business deal. I can't have these tears involved in this business deal. And she was telling me what I could get from my house. She's like, you're not going to get more than this. This is all you're going to get. I'm going to fight hard for you to get this. Well, my house went over that. I didn't have to fix the roof. So do you relate to the story that I'm telling you? Do you understand that people that are supposedly experts will project their fears and limitations onto your dream? Do you understand that? Do you know how scared I was walking through something like this, ending a friendship for over 30 years and making decisions that were so much bigger than me? And there's so much more to the story that I'm not ready to share yet, but I'm going to do a webinar about this whole experience, about buying this house and selling it, because it's going to teach you how my guides and your guides have your back. So while you're saying that, I want to go through the 5 ways that you're sticking yourself. But I want to I like getting to know my people. People in Membership for Your Soul, when they're active in Facebook, they know I get to know them. I'm there with them. I'm rooting them on. I'm kicking them in their butt, and I'm helping them. So I know a lot of you aren't in Membership for Your Soul, but I like to get to know my audience. I'm not one of these people that preaches from the mountaintop and doesn't want to know people. I preach next to you. I'll preach, but I preach next to you. So, and then I listen to your preaching. And then I say, I don't want to listen if I don't want to listen, whatever's going on. So Marie says yes. Christine says yes. I go by my gut instincts. Colette says yes. Kim says relate. Great. So good. So now let's go through the 5 tips. That's John Burgos. Should we say hello to John Burgos? No. Love John. So I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that you're sticking yourself. And I love that page didn't print. So we're going to pull it up on my Google Drive, because this is so important for me. So we're going to talk about the 5 ways you're sticking yourself. And I want you right now, everybody, close their eyes, breathe into your heart, and put your left hand is about receiving, right hand is about doing. And this is like the temperance card. It's about balance in the information that you're receiving and then taking action. It's very about bringing the unconsciousness to the conscious, the temperance card. So put your left hand over your heart and your right hand over your left, because we want balanced information. And think about something that is so huge for you right now. So huge that you're stuck. You're in indecision. You're on the fence. You can't decide what to do. You're struggling. Or maybe you're lacking the confidence that we talked about, or lacking the fear, or the courage to go forward. So just think about that and just hold that in your heart. And while you hold it in your heart, notice how it feels to hold it in your heart. This dream of yours. God did not give you this dream for you to struggle. This dream was given to you to live, to be part of it. And if God doesn't speak to you, if it's universe, source, doesn't matter to me. But feel the impact of what I'm saying, how God, spirit, universe gave you this dream for you to actually feel it in your reality. All right. So you can open up your eyes. Tip number 1 is where you're sticking yourself. You aren't trusting the feelings you have about a person or a situation, even the thing that you're supposed to pursue. This is a huge decision in my life, but I'm trusting my guides. Anna Maria Vasquez, who I love, and many of you know and love, and she did a reading for me last Friday, and it was great. And I don't usually go for readings, but I go for people that I trust. And she's somebody who took that risk. She was told to move to some small town in Colorado, didn't know anybody, and went. I was told to buy this house. It was the scariest moment of my life. I didn't let many people see it because most people thought I was nuts. They told me I was crazy. I bought it and I almost tripled my return on it. I had a lot of experiences in this house because of that. So because everyone around you thinks they're great, or because that you've known them for so long, make sure you trust your feelings. Even if you don't act on them, trust them. So think of somebody right now that you may be getting advice from that it may not be the best advice. That you may be like, oh my goodness, I've been listening, but my gut is telling me not to. And I have something so much to say about that, but I'm going to move on to tip number 2. The other way that it's not a tip, the other way that you're sticking yourself. This is a big one. And this, I want the likes and the loves, and I want to hear from you. You don't believe you can really have what you desire. Why? Because people around you with their limited mindset and their limited thinking are telling you you can't have it. You can't have that. You're crazy. You're too old. What? You don't even live in California. How could you be an actress? You can't do that. You're overweight. Whatever it is. How many of you have that struggle going on? Or those struggles in your head because that's what you've heard your whole life. You don't believe you can really have what you desire. Why? So I'm going to check in with you guys before I go on the next one. So you guys, you're related. I heard believe in yourself when I was doing that. Great. So it's catching up. Colette is yes, a lot of people. And a lot of you have certain intentions that you're doing. So this is one of the things that's really important for me, because when I really had the dreams in my heart and I was seeing a lot of readers and they were like telling me something, especially I told this story before, a very famous psychic told me I couldn't have what I wanted. And in a grand scheme of things and looking back at my life, it was about acting. I don't mind that at all. But had I not pursued my career of acting and then chose to leave it on my own because I was getting called for auditions and booking things, and I said, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I would never be able to do video with you. A lot of people struggle with doing Facebook videos. I would never be able to talk off the cuff, you know? So I understand where it all went, but I didn't need to go through the pain and believing someone else above myself. I didn't need to hear that kind of thing from a reader who, what I learned was really her dream. So she was projecting onto me. All right, number 3, you give everyone else your power but yourself. This is a trained thing. This is something you've learned in school from your parents or even your church. You are the power. I want everybody to write down, I am the power. I am the power. I am the power. I am empowerment. That is not ego. You are the power. Stop giving it away. So I want you to write that down. And for those of you just joining, make sure you put in higher so you can get my free gift for this one. So why do we give our power away? Well, because we were raised in families where, I know I can talk about my family. My mother was really fearful. She was really afraid. She had every right to be afraid because of the things that had happened to her. Her fear was so put in my body and soul, besides the fact that I probably came into this life with a little bit of that anyway. Then I went to a strict Catholic school that I just did not fit in, and they didn't like me. Then I was in high school was great, so that wasn't a problem. But I was surrounded by limitation, by people, but they were in powerful positions. So I believed the nuns and the priests and the teachers and the people that didn't like me. I believed there was something wrong with me. And I depleted my own power. I won't do that anymore. It's happening again where I have new realtors, and they're very good realtors, and they work for a very wealthy clientele. And I went into this experience like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm just small peanuts. And now I'm like, F that noise. I am done with that. So I had to have that experience just recently again about being in my own power and asking for what I need. I had to do it just now. Like, no, they were like, oh, don't worry about it. It's an open house. I'm like, no, these houses are going. They're going before. I want to do a preemptive offer if this is the right house. I don't care if I'm not up there. So that's about getting in your power. So let me just check in with you guys before I continue on. April says, I am the power. I'm the power. Nikiana says, I'm empowerment. William, yay, I'm the truth, the light, and the power. I love it. Colette says, I am the power. April says, yes, I doubt myself. Also have other people tell me I don't have enough money. So really be cautious about who you're talking to. Now, you want to be conscious about whatever it is that you have to work on. But you want to be cautious about inviting fearful people into your circle. You want to stay away from them. So here's the fourth way. And this is all kind of, you can see it's like a synchronistic line. They're almost all the same, but it's just the way they show up. You don't trust yourself. You know why you don't trust yourself? Because you made mistakes before. You screwed something up. You hit the wall. You failed. My Brooklyn accent's going to come out. And that's the exact reason why you need to trust yourself. Because you know what? You learned something. You may make the mistake again, but you probably won't make it a third time because you're being conscious. If you're following me, you're conscious. So let it go. Start trusting yourself. Trust that you're not going to pick that horrible relationship again. Trust that I had to work a lot with my guides about trusting that I'm going to buy a house that I'm not going to find out was, forgive me, house, for saying this, a real friggin' lemon, where people were walking around like this in my house when I bought it. And things were just shattering anytime you touched it. But it all worked out. And I'm not going to make that mistake again because I'm empowered, because I trust myself, because I know that I'm smart and I have the tools. And if I don't, I'll know the right people to talk to, not the people that are going to project their fear on me. The realtor I ended up getting for this house has been, even the realtors up north, I really like them, but the realtor I ended up getting for this house has been so helpful. So how many of you can trust yourself now? Tell me, I promise to trust. I promise to trust. I promise to go back to old story. My realtor gifted me with an organizer, and she is a woman who's been widowed just recently after 54 years of marriage. And my realtor, same thing, up north, widowed after like 50 years of marriage, just 2 years. So this is obviously something coming into my arena for a reason. And we were talking, and she's like, are you afraid of taking this risk? What's going on? I was like, no, I'm not afraid of taking it. And she said, does any old story ever come up? And I said, yeah, when it comes up, I look it in the face and I say, what do I need to learn? Where can I make better decisions now? So let's see. Laura says, I'm starting to trust myself now. Hi, Elizabeth. William says, I do trust myself. And I know Elizabeth and William from membership. Is my cat telling me something? My cat is just telling me he just loves me. He loves when I write. He loves when I do this work. So great. So you're learning how to trust yourself. Now I don't even know. You guess you can see the cat, huh? Here he is. This is what he loves to do. Can you see him? Yeah. He loves burying his little head in my armpit. It's very, very sweet. Such a sweet cat. Okay. This is the last way that you are stopping yourself from moving forward. And I really want to hear from you guys that if this is resonating, what I'm really trying to do is stop you in the tracks from being unconscious, which is all the temperance card too. It's about coming out of unconsciousness into conscious, about the moon card, which I'm about to write and record. It's about being conscious about where you are in your life, what you want, and where your limitations came from. Why are you limiting yourself? And you really need the tools and techniques to stop doing that. You have to stop doing that. Okay, number 5, ready for this one? You think you need someone else to agree with you to make it right before you do it. So you seek out readings, you seek out outside counsel, you seek out advice from people you don't even know. You give them more power than yourself. What happens? How many of you do this? Like you say, oh my goodness, this feels good to me, but I need to go to that. And there's nothing wrong with going to readings. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, how you need to go for readings. But how many of you go for readings and then you feel like, oh my goodness, that just freaked me out. That was the worst thing to hear. And you don't know how to use that information in order to catapult you back into your truth and even further into your truth. What happens when you hear what you don't want to hear? You're even more confused. It's okay to go for readings and healings, but you have to know yourself better than anyone else. You have to know if something doesn't sit right with you, you have to let it go. If it really bothers you and it doesn't sit right with you, you have to ask where inside yourself you need to believe in yourself more. You need to be able to let go and trust yourself first. I'm very choosy about who I'll go for a reading with. I haven't had a reading in years, and I trusted Anna Maria. I trust Sue Kovacs. There's people I trust. Healers, Angela, there's certain people I've introduced you guys to. I will go to them, but I also know I ask my guidance to work through them. That's usually what I do. And I also know if there's something that I hear and it doesn't feel right, I sit with it and find out why it doesn't feel right, what I need to learn, what maybe I need to change in my own thinking and processing and how I'm making decisions so that I could have a different outcome. Because a lot of times when people are reading, not mediums necessarily, they're reading the outcome in the moment. So if you shift your way of thinking, you could shift that outcome. So those are the 5 pitfalls. Now, what do you do? What do you do? I want to see what you guys think that you can do in order to stop falling into these pitfalls. And I'll repeat them. In order to stop trusting somebody else's situation over your own, somebody else over yourself. It's really basically the same thing, right? And trusting your feelings more. About believing in what you desire, that your dreams are true. How to stop not believing in your dreams. How to stop giving power away. How to stop putting more credibility into your past mistakes, and how to stop needing someone to tell you, oh yeah, you can do this before you actually do it. What do you think? What are some tools that you think you can do in order to stop this? And maybe I'm confusing you because they blend together, these things, but they are separate. We are doing them separate. So let me see what's going on here. Thank you, Rashawn. She says, your readings have always supported my growth. Thank you. Eva says, I relate. I do trust myself and still go to others for confirmation. Now, I'd rather you didn't do that, Eva. I'd rather you go to yourself and then go to somebody else to get confirmation, get clarity, maybe go further into the confirmation, but making sure that after a reading, after a healing, you check back in with yourself. You check back in with your guides. Peggy says, trust my intuition. Exactly. That's the solution. Maria says, this is a good one. I trust myself when in balance, but lose contact with my desire when I listen to other people. Unfortunately, listen to them too often. Right. And balance is a huge, huge one. So what do you think my answer is for all of this? What do you think I'm going to say to you? And the hint is you've all been typing in higher, higher, higher as the tool and the gift. So when you're going through huge change, so I've been going through this now for almost 6-7 weeks, right? Last week was one of those moments where, and I even did a recording about it the past 2 weeks, where I was like, my house is sold and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going to live. And I've never been in that experience before in my life, meaning I know the location, but I don't know the house. And home is very important to me. Last week, I couldn't eat anything but bread. I was so nauseous the whole week that all I could eat was bread. What happened to me, and I went into meditation every day, and I still took care of myself. I still journal in the morning. I still meditate. I went for hikes. I wasn't really exercising, which is not the best thing for me either, because I need to exercise, run, and do yoga. And Spirit said to me last week, they said, you need to bring your life into balance. You need to stop this. Because I was sitting like how many of you done this? Sitting by the phone, waiting for it to ring. Is that house going to be mine? I did a bid last week too. What's going on? I have to be by the phone. I can't operate that way. That was so out of balance. So Spirit said to me, you have to stop that. You need to take care of yourself. Enough is enough already. You need to get back to juicing. You need to get off the bread. They didn't say that completely, but eat healthier, eat where you're feeling good. You need to make sure you're running again. I started running. I'm going to get back to yoga tonight. They said, you need to do all of this because you're forgetting something, Marilyn. No matter what the realtors and the real estate market is saying out there, we're your answer. We're going to tell you where to go, what to do, what to say, and who to say it to. These people are pawns in your life. And that may sound really rude, but what they mean by that is not to give them the power. I'm not dependent on them. I'm dependent on this. And God, Spirit, they're going to tell me, they already told me what I need to know. I'm not going to share it yet. And that's all I need to do is trust that, make the calls when I have to make the calls, just booked another trip, and that's it. And I trust it. So you need to trust yourself beyond anything else. You can do this. You go deep into your heart and you find the answers to the questions that you're struggling with. and you start living that truth, not everybody else's truth. You have the answers. You just need to trust yourself enough to believe them. The next time you want to go to someone and ask them something, go to yourself first. I do a thing in one of my classes where, and I'm going to check in with you guys in a sec, it's a Gestalt technique. It's a psychology technique, but I have them do it. I believe it's in Channeling 101. They put the chair in front of them, an empty chair. They sit as themselves and they put Archangel Michael in that chair, say. So you can put your higher self in that chair. And you ask all the questions. Then you get up and you sit in the chair with your Archangel Michael, your higher self, and you answer the then empty chair, which is you today. You answer the questions that you just posed. And whenever anybody does this exercise, they are so blown away by the power of it. And they recognize in the moment that they do have the answers. I've had people say to me, oh my goodness, I sat as Archangel Michael and I had a complete transformation and a change. And I just felt everything change inside of me. And I felt all this light coming up and all these answers coming up. That's what you have to do. So let me just check. And for those of you who are still here and joining me, it's higher is the gift. So if you type in higher, H-I-H-I-E-R. Oh. I have the spinning ball, so I can't type it in. Oh, there it goes. So they can do it. So Rashawn says truth. Eva says, yep, first and last. Colette says, yes, let go, let God. Correct. Maddie says, a great way that I have, whoops, I lost it. Absolutely lost it. A great way I've learned to build self-trust to look in this mirror and say, I love you and trust you. I learned this. That's great from Gina. I don't know who she is, but that's great. I do the same thing. So Jasmine says, great. Marilyn, I agree with you, but I'm glad that I got readings at the beginning of my spiritual journey. Otherwise, I wouldn't know my true purpose. And more importantly, I would have not even believed that it's possible because I know my true worth. I feel my empowered to act on my truth. Now, Jasmine, I can say that you're a membership and we've done readings. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, sweetie, but which is great. I'm not saying don't go for readings. I'm saying stop giving your power away. Readings for me were very helpful in the beginning too, and readings were also detrimental to me. But in all of it, it's always good because no matter what, I came back to myself and I unpacked the information. So I'm not saying don't go to readings. I'm saying go to the readings from a different powered place. Bring your higher self in with you with the readings and ask your higher self what they think of the reader. Because if somebody's in a very vulnerable place and they get a bad reading, it can do more damage in the beginning than it needs to. So that's my only thing. That's all I'm saying. So Elizabeth said, do one little thing every day to create a habit of trusting yourself. Look back at the end of the day and see how often you followed your intuition, even if it was just one thing. That's great. I love it. So I want to be clear about that. I'm not saying don't study, don't learn how. I feel reading for yourself is above and beyond the most important thing anybody can do. I really do, because it has blessed me beyond belief. But I'm not saying don't go for readings. Just make sure whoever you choose for a reading is somebody who's not projecting their fear on you or their anxiety. And it's sometimes hard to know that. So if you know yourself really well, you're going to know, like, oh, this isn't mine. This is theirs. And that's the biggest thing that I'm going to say. So that's what I'd say. If anybody has questions about this material, ask me now. And next week, we are going to be stuck in, because the most important thing I want to leave you with, this is the most important thing. Those dreams in your heart were meant to be lived. Those dreams in your heart were meant to be lived. That's what I'm leaving you with today. So if anything, I want you to think about that's really what I want you to recognize. Those dreams in your heart were meant to be lived. So next week, I am going to be talking about 5 unexpected ways to achieve your goals, even if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing works. So 5 unexpected ways to achieve your goals, even if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing works. And we're going to discuss that next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions about the material. And hold on, take that out. I do realize the true answers are within, but a pure soul can help you grow and understand. Totally. Most of you, and William's in membership, Jasmine's in membership, a lot of you, and I know you, and William's this beautiful soul. So is Jasmine. Jasmine's this beautiful soul. She helps people. And that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. If I was like saying, don't do it, like, that's what I do. I don't do readings anymore. You know, I teach people how to read for themselves because I think that that's more important. So even when you're reading for yourself, you know what happens? Your guides tell you who to go to for a reading. They tell you, your higher self tells you who to go to, where to go, what to say, who to say it to. Your higher self will tell you, no, that reader was a little bit off. Don't worry about it. So I agree with you. There are definite great people out there. I think I have ruffled some feathers. If I've ruffled some feathers, try to say that 10 times fast, let me know, because I like it. I don't like ruffling feathers. I'm not really into that, but I do it because I'm so opinionated and I'm so strong in my opinions. Exactly, Jennifer. Just go for it. Yes, the same thing goes for advice. Our reading or advice can be skewed by someone else's fear, and you want to know that. You want to be able to handle that. So I'm just waiting to see. So it seems like everybody is, if anybody has questions, ask me now, not reading questions, because I'm not doing readings, because I want you to read for yourself. But if you have any questions, let me know about this material. Otherwise, I am just going to see you next week. And anybody who's joining, put in higher, higher, higher. So that is it. All right, guys. I'm just checking real quick. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, it looks like everything is good. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. If you're just joining, put higher in the thing, and I will see you next week, where we will discuss 5 unexpected ways to achieve your goals, even if you feel like you've tried everything and nothing works. So I will see you next week. Much love to all of you. Bye.